We move on. Investing in smaller companies can be accomplished in a number of different ways. Each avenue comes with its own challenge and opportunity and unique risk reward profiles. But something that is not well understood or as proactively followed is the microcap universe of public companies. So, what exactly is a microcap company and why is there so much of buzz around it? Let's understand all of this with Aditya Agarwal, co-founder Wealthy.in. Aditya, good evening and welcome to the show. So let's understand the space, which is microcap and which is actually becoming a favorite of a lot of mutual fund houses as well. But then that's a later part of discussion where we'll get into. Just give us an introduction of this space. What does a microcap space actually mean?
Kavita, for having me on the show. Microcap is essentially, you could look at it two ways. One is the companies beyond the top 500 companies in a stock exchange. Those are often referred as microcap companies. Or you could also look at companies that are, within the sort of market cap of 1,000 to 5,000 crores, right? So those are essentially referred to microcap companies. And obviously there is a strong buzz about the microcaps. So Nifty has this index called Nifty Microcap 250. So the reason why you see a lot of buzz is because in last 1 year that index on Nifty Microcap 250 has returned almost 24.5%, right, in last 1 year. So that is one of the reasons why you're seeing so much or hearing so much buzz about the microcap stocks in India.
But then the last 3 year performance has been the index, if we talk about Nifty Microcap 250, has given 56% return. And if we have to compare it with Nifty 50, in last 10 years, the return has been 23% CAGR, of course. And then it's twice the return of Nifty 50. So isn't this space really exciting? At least looking at the data wise.
Yeah, no, I think you said used one word, right? Risk reward, right? So you have to be okay with the risk that might come with the reward, right? Because what happens with a micro cap company is that, let's say, for example, if I'm investing in a company called Reliance, right? I have all the data available, balance sheets are available for many years, there are analyst calls, there are analyst presentations, there's so much information available out there. But when I compare that with a micro cap stock or micro cap company, that information is very sparse. So I don't get that much information about that company to really analyze its prospects and its performance compared to its peers, right? So the reward is, of course, is exciting, but the risk is also there because, you don't know so much about that company or that business to really analyze it to the depth.
And also the universe is pretty small, as compared to a large cap, which alone accounts for almost like 66% of the market. Microcaps are like just close to 3%. But then what kind of sector-based companies are we talking about over here? What could they be?
So microcaps are very similar in terms of their sector representation, right? But obviously some sectors dominate. So for example, capital goods is something that is almost 20% of this index. Financial services another 20%, right? But after that, there's like a whole range of sectors that sort of contribute. So after these two top sectors, which are each 20%, right? After that, most of the other sectors are at 3-4%. So you have your consumer goods, you have your specialty chemicals, you have your sort of IT services. So all of those essentially then come up as part of the sector allocation. But yeah, the top two are capital goods and financial services.
Are these micro caps to a small cap, because it is still possible to get knowledge about small cap companies and maybe even the analysts cover it. But then are they somewhere closer to small caps?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. In fact, a lot of the small cap funds today, mutual funds today, right? They also get you exposure to some of these micro caps. So, for example, like I think if I'm correct, Tata AMC small cap fund, their average market cap is about 5,000 crores. So, which means that they have some companies which belong to the micro cap category. So obviously these small funds that are focused on small cap, they have probably done their research and sort of are recommending or including the right kind of micro cap companies in their bucket, which could potentially become small caps or mid caps of tomorrow, right? Because obviously, every company has a journey, right? So every company might start small, but some of those then are able to acquire market share and become big. So I'm sure there are companies in micro cap tomorrow which can become a small cap, mid cap, and maybe a small percentage can also go and become a large cap tomorrow.
Say, Aditya, if someone has a longer time duration, which we usually say for a space like mid cap and small cap, one should have at least 5 to 7 or maybe even 10 years. So if one has that kind of a time horizon, you think they'll be they have the ability to remain unfazed in terms of volatility and uncertain environment?
I think the thing with microcap is that, so for example, when you're investing in large cap, right, you at least know that the company is going to stay around, right? They have a proven business model, they have a good balance sheet, right? But in terms of microcap, sometimes you may not, like there might be companies that are sort of, they lose market position, and over a period of time, they lose the market cap as well, right? So in terms of microcap, horizon may not necessarily be the only thing to look at, right? But yeah, if you have a longer term horizon, the way at least we recommend is that you ideally have an allocation which is sort of allocation towards large cap, mid cap, and some small cap, right? So because that small cap or micro cap portfolio can give you that acceleration, right? But it can also be a source of high amount of volatility in your portfolio, even if you're investing for long term.
So do you think instead of buying directly, one should really go through mutual fund route, and that could be through a route of a small cap fund if you want allocation of micro cap in your portfolio?
100%, because as I said, it's very hard to analyze companies in detail. Not enough information is there, and you're rather better off identifying a mutual fund which is sort of works for you, and getting exposure to small cap or micro cap companies through that.
Specific micro cap funds yet, right, Aditya?
So currently no, but what we are hearing, HDFC has filed a specific microcap fund, HDFC AMC. But besides that, there is no other microcap focused fund right now, because I think they probably sort of get stuck with the same, right? That there is not enough information to sort of do stock selection in that space.
But even if one enters this space through a small cap fund, it's advisable not to have that fund as your first ever entry in the equity market.
Definitely not, because if you look at the standard deviation of these funds, essentially very simple, right? If you're a large cap, you will have volatility, or maybe sort of think of it like that, right? That investing is in some extent roller coaster, right? That it goes up and down. But if you are going to a micro cap, then essentially your highs will be too high and lows will be too low, right? So that's too much for a heart to handle, right? So I would suggest that you don't allocate more than 10% of your money to small cap or micro cap space.
So even in the existing small cap funds, typically what's the allocation percentage to a micro cap, Aditya?
It would still be small, right? It will still be small, but as I said, like if their average market cap is, let's say, around 5,000 crores for a small cap fund, then it means that they at least have 20% allocation to smaller or micro cap firms.
Now, even if someone wants to buy directly, what will be a word of caution from your side, and what would be those thumb rules in order to, check and then enter that space?
Yeah, I think if you're looking to invest in stocks directly, if you know that company, and if you sort of are, let's say, a supplier to that company, if you're sort of a customer of that company, and you've seen that company do well for you, that obviously is a great, you probably have a first-hand knowledge which others might not have. So that probably is, one particular way of looking at it. Obviously, second way of looking at it is that, even if you're looking at micro cap space, you can look at the top 10 companies and see, which are top 10 or 20 companies, and see which one of them sort of, according to you, have a position or have a product in the market through which they can build, a reasonably strong market share over a period of, next 5-7 years.
All right, so risky space, microcap, if at all you want to have an exposure of it, a small cap fund will be an ideal choice, but then see to it that your portfolio is very well diversified in that sense also. Thank you so much, Aditya, being on the show and helping our viewers with this today.
Thank you, Kavita.
Thank you. On that note, we'll take a quick break, and then post that, let's talk about equity mutual funds for senior citizens. We'll be joined by Arun Kumar after this break.